way to the tall timber. He was the captain, and with a great show of authority he called both teams round the home plate for the purposes of being admonished, lectured, and told how to play the game by the umpire. Chase had not seen this official, and when he did see him his jaw dropped. The umpire wore skin tight velveteen knee trousers, black stockings, and low shoes with buckles. His striped shirt was arranged in a full blouse, and on the side of his head was stuck very wonderfully a small, jaunty cap. He addressed the players as if he were the arbiter of fate, and he lifted his voice so that the audience could receive the benefit of his eloquence and understand perfectly the irrevocable nature of the decision he was about to render. In conclusion, he recited a number of baseball rules in general, and ground rules in particular, most remarkable in themselves and most glaringly designed to favor the home team. Chase extracted from the complexity of one of the rules that on a passed ball behind the catcher or an overthrow at first, when Jacktown was at bat, the players could have all the bases they could make. And when Brownsville was at bat, for some inscrutable reason, the same rule did not hold. Then this master of ceremonies ordered the Jacktown team into the field, tripped like a ballet dancer to his position behind the catcher, and sang out in a veritable clarion blast, "Play ball!" Chase could scarcely remove his gaze from the umpire, but as his turn came to bat in the first inning he directed his attention to the Jacktown pitcher. He remembered that someone had said this important member of the Jacktowns was the village blacksmith. After one glance Chase did not doubt it. The pitcher was a man of enormous build, and his bare right arm looked like a branch of a rugged oak tree. The first ball he shot toward the home plate resembled a thin white streak. "One strike!" shrieked the umpire. Two more balls similar to the first retired the batter, and three more performed the same office on the second batter. It was Chase's turn next. He was a natural hitter and had perfect confidence. But as the first ball zipped past him, looking about the size of a pea, he knew he had never before faced such terrific speed. Nor did he have the power to see in that farmer blacksmith one of the greatest pitchers the game was ever to produce. Chase struck at the next two balls and was called out. Then the Jacktown players trooped in, to the wild clamor of their supporters. When Chase saw some of the big Jacktown fellows swing their bats, he knew that he would have an easy time with them, for they stood with their feet wide apart and held their bats with left hand over right, which made a clean, straight swing impossible. He struck out the first three batters on 9 pitched balls. For several innings it went on in that manner, each club blanking the other. When Brownsville came in for their 5th inning at bat, Chase got Hutchinson to call all the players round him in a bunch. "Boys," he said, "we can hit this Jacktown pitcher. He throws a straight ball almost always waist high. Now, you all swing too hard. Let's choke the bat, hold it halfway up instead of by the handle, and poke at the ball. Just meet it." The first player up, acting on Chase's advice, placed a stinging hit into right field. Whereupon the Brownsville contingent on the sidelines rose in a body and roared their appreciation of this feat. The second batter hit a ground ball at the shortstop, who fielded it perfectly, but threw wild to the baseman. And the third batter sent up a very high fly. The whole Jacktown team made a rush to try and catch the ball when it came down. It went so high that it took some time to drop, all of which time the Brownsville runners were going like mad round the bases. When the ball returned to earth, so many hands were raised to clutch it that it bounced away to the ground. One runner had scored, and two were left, on second and third bases respectively. Chase walked to the plate with determination. He allowed the first ball to go by, but watched it closely, gauging its speed and height. The next one he met squarely with a solid crack. It shot out over second base, went up and up, far beyond the fielder. Amid the delirious joy of the Brownsville partisans, the The two runners scored ahead of Chase, and before the ball could be found he too reached home. The Jacktown players went to pieces after that, and fumbled so outrageously and threw so erratically that Brownsville scored 3 more runs before the inning was over. Plain it was that when Jacktown came in for their bat nothing short of murder was impossible for them. They were wild eyed and hopped along the base lines like Indians on the warpath, but yell and rage and strive all they knew how, it made no difference. They simply could not get their bats to connect with Chase's curves. They did not know what was wrong. Chase delivered a slow, easy ball that apparently came sailing like a balloon straight for the plate, and just as the batter swung his bat, the ball suddenly swerved so that he hit nothing but air. Some of them spun around, so viciously did they swing, but not one of them so much as touched the ball. The giant pitcher grunted like an ox when he made his bat whistle through the air, and every time he swung at one of the slow, tantalizing balls to miss it, he frothed at the mouth in his fury. His reputation as a great hitter was undone that day, and he died hard. In the 8th inning, with the score 11-0, matters were serious when the Jacktown team came in for their turn at bat. They whispered mysteriously and argued aloud and acted altogether like persons possessed. When the first batter faced Chase, the other players crowded behind the plate, where already a good part of the audience was standing. "It's his eye, his crooked eye," said one player, pointing an angry finger. "See thet? You watch him, and you think he's goin' to pitch the ball one way, and it comes in another. It's his crooked eye, I tell you." A sympathetic murmur from the other players and the crowd attested to the value of this remarkable statement. The first batter struck futilely at the balls, getting slower and more exasperating, and when he had missed 3 he slammed his bat on the ground and actually jumped up and down in his anger. The second batter aimed at a slow coming ball and swung with all his might, only to hit a hole in the air. With that the umpire tripped lightly before the plate, and standing on his tiptoes, waved his hand to the spectators. His eyes were staring with excitement, and on his cheeks blazed the hue of righteous indignation. "Game called!" he yelled in his penetrating tenor. Pandemonium broke loose among the spectators. They massed on the field in inextricable confusion. The noise was deafening. Hats were thrown in the air, and coats, and everything available for throwing. Hutchinson fought his way through the crazy crowd, and grasping Chase, pulled him with no gentle hand from the mob in the direction of the barn. Once out of the tumult, he said: "Hurry and change. I don't like the looks of things. These Jacktown fellows are rough, and I think we'd better hurry out of town." It was all so amusing to Chase that he could not help laughing. But soon Hutchinson's sober aspect and the wild anger of the other Brownsville players who poured noisily into the barn put a different coloring on the affair. What had been pure fun for him was plainly a life and death matter to these rustics. They divided their expression in mauling Chase with fervent congratulations and declarations of love, and passionate denunciations of the umpire and the whole Jacktown outfit. Suddenly, as loud shouts sounded outside the barn, Hutchinson ran out, to return at once with a startled look. "You've got to run for it!" he cried. "They're after you. They're in a devil of a temper. They'll ride you on a fence rail, or tar and feather you. Hurry! You can't reason with them now. Run for it! You can't wait to dress." One look down the field was sufficient for Chase. The Jacktown players were marching toward the barn. The blacksmith led the way. Over his shoulder hung a long fence rail. Behind them the crowd came yelling. "Run for it!" Hutchinson cried, greatly excited. "I'll fetch your clothes." Chase had removed all his uniform except stockings and shoes, and he had put on his shirt. Grabbing his hat, trousers, and coat, he bounded out the door and broke down the field like a scared deer. When the crowd saw him, they let out a roar that lent wings to his feet. It so frightened him that he dropped his trousers and did not dare stop to recover them. Over his shoulder he saw the Jacktown players, with the huge pitcher in the lead, start after him. The race was close only for a few moments. Chase possessed a fleetness of foot that now served him in